Hello everyone, my name is Robert, but most people just call me Bob. I'm 82 years old. I'm sitting here today looking out over the Puget Sound, and I've brought something with me that I haven't shown a soul in over 40 years. This is a map of Tuscany, Italy. It was printed back in 1984. It's torn and tattered at the creases, not because it was used on the road, but because I've opened it and folded it back up again 1,000 times in the silence of my study. I've spent my entire life doing one thing: hoarding. I hoarded money. I hoarded a reputation as a top lawyer here in Seattle, and I hoarded promises of a bright future. But today at 82, I've come to realize I am not a successful man. I am a collector of dead dreams. If you're in your 30s or 40s right now, and you're telling your partner, just a little longer, once I get that promotion, once we're wealthy enough, then we'll really start living. Please listen closely to this old man. You aren't building a future. You are building a cemetery for the very joys that you will never be able to get back again. My wife Sarah, she was an incredible woman. She loved hiking trails and the scent of pine needles after the rain. When we were first married, Sarah kept a glass jar on top of the refrigerator. She taped a small piece of paper to it with just 2 words: someday. Every month she'd toss in a few spare dollars, dreaming about the trips we'd finally take. But every time that jar started to fill up, I'd find a smart reason to take the money out. Sarah, we need to fix the roof. Or Sarah, this money is better off in the retirement fund. Or my work is at a critical stage right now, we can't just leave. I always had practical reasons. I was so proud of how practical I was. I remember once on our 20th anniversary, Sarah laid this very map of Italy out on the dinner table. She had prepared everything. Her eyes were sparkling like a little girl's. And do you know what I said to her? I looked down at my brand new Rolex and said, "I'm too busy, Sarah. Let's wait until retirement. Then I'll take you first class. We'll stay in 5-star hotels. Going now is just a waste of time and money." I won that argument. I always won. I protected our savings. I protected my career. But I had no idea that every time I said no to a trip, I was draining a little bit of the life out of the eyes of the woman I loved. Sarah started sending me postcards. Not from Italy, but from the local post office just down the street. She wrote, "Wish you were here with me, right now, right here in this kitchen." I used to laugh and think she was being cheesy. But now, holding those postcards in my hands, I finally understand she didn't need a 5-star hotel in Rome. She needed me, right then, before time stole her legs away. June 14th, 2009. That was the day I officially walked away from my law firm. I was 65 years old. I had a grand farewell party. Colleagues clapped me on the back, calling me a legend. I walked out of that building with a massive pension check and the feeling of a man who had just conquered Mount Everest. I drove home, and in my pocket were 2 first-class tickets to Rome. I told myself, I finally did it, Sarah. Now, no one can stop us. I had imagined the scene, how I'd surprise her, how we'd burn that someday jar together and finally start our real life. But when I walked through the door, I didn't find Sarah waiting in the kitchen. I found her sitting on the living room floor, surrounded by pill bottles and lab results she had tried to hide from me for a month. Sarah had scleroderma, a disease that hardens the tissues in the body. Those legs she wanted to use to hike the mountains of Tuscany, They no longer listened to her. I knelt down beside her and held out those 2 plane tickets. And do you know what Sarah did? She didn't cry. She just looked at those tickets with a distant, hollow gaze and said, "Bob, I wish we had gone when I could still stand on my own 2 feet. Now, I just want to sit here and watch the rain." That was the moment I understood a bitter truth. You can own all the money in the world, but you can never own the moment. I had prepared a perfect future, but I had forgotten that we human beings, we have an expiration date. Sarah passed away 4 years ago, and now I live in what I used to call my success, a 5-bedroom house in Bellevue, high-end Italian leather furniture, a watch collection that I once considered my greatest treasure. But you know what? These objects, they are the worst kind of friends. I have a $5,000 armchair, but it can't hold me when I'm lonely. I have the finest bone china dinnerware set, but the food on it has no taste when I'm the only one sitting at the table. I look at the Rolex on my wrist, the one I only dared to buy after a big promotion. It still keeps time perfectly, second by second, but it's just counting down the remaining hours of a man with nowhere left to go and no one left to wait for. I realize now that I spent 40 years working to buy symbols of happiness instead of buying the happiness itself. If you are out there hoarding things, if you are sacrificing an evening with your wife and kids just to make a few $100 more for a new gadget or a luxury car, I want you to look at me. I have every material thing you're dreaming of, but I would trade this entire fortune, this entire house, just for one afternoon in 1984. One afternoon where I said yes when Sarah asked me to take a walk on the beach instead of keeping my face buried in a stack of case files. Don't let your life become a museum of expensive objects. Let it be a collection of dusty memories, of shoes with worn-out heels from traveling to too many places, and a heart that is exhausted because it loved too fiercely. To the men listening to this podcast, especially those of you caught in the hustle, you often say to me, "Bob, you don't understand. The world is too competitive these days. I can't just stop." Oh, I understand. Believe me, I was the alpha wolf in this city once. But listen to me, and listen good. Your wife doesn't need your achievements nearly as much as she needs your presence. Do not wait until a doctor hands you a lab report before you start being curious about the woman lying next to you every night. I want you to perform these 3 life or death exercises today before you turn off this podcast, the someday jar exercise. Go home tonight and ask your wife, if money were no object and we only had 1 healthy year left, where would you want to go next week? And no matter what she says, do not use your practicality to shut it down. Book the tickets right now. Even if it's just a trip to the next town over. The 60-second stare exercise. Put the phone down. Turn off the football game. Look directly into her eyes for 60 seconds and truly listen to her talk about the smallest details of her day. Don't look for a solution. Don't offer advice. Just be there. The expiration date exercise. Look at your hands and then look at hers. Remember that they will never be younger than they are at this very moment. Every day you delay a joy, you are losing it forever. I own a luxurious mansion, but now it's just a silent museum for a life I forgot to participate in. Don't let yourself become a museum director like me. Don't build a future so grand that you lose the very person you were building it for in the first place. If Sarah were in the next room right now, I would run to her. I would fall to my knees and I would beg her to forgive me for every single time I said later, but I can't do that anymore. All I have left is this tattered map and these postcards from the past. But you still have a chance. Go tell her right now that she is more important than anything currently appearing on your screen. Do it before the silence in your home becomes permanent. If this old man's story reminded you of someone, a brother, a friend, someone who is so caught up in making a living that they've forgotten how to live, please send this to them. Let's help each other wake up before it's too late. Thank you for sitting here on the porch with me for a while. Now, get up. Go to the woman you love. Don't make her wait another minute.